And a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us and welcome to BBC Look North. The headlines this Thursday night. The earliest snow for years brings disruption to East Yorkshire.
I'm live in the Yorkshire Wolds tonight, which has seen some of the heaviest snowfall.
A Lincolnshire village gets some of the fastest broadband in Britain after digging its own trenches for cables.
People are moving from dial-up, which is virtually unusable for modern websites, where they can watch BBC iPlayer high definition on the computers there and then.
The new blood test that can detect heart disease in diabetic patients. And how we used to live, the old pictures and videos showing the history of our high street.
And I'll be back with the very latest weather forecast for the next 5 days in 15 minutes.
Hello, good evening. The first snow of the winter and the earliest for years has fallen in large parts of East Yorkshire today. Up to 5 centimetres fell overnight in places, and there have been further showers throughout the day. More snow is forecast there tonight and also in Lincolnshire. So far, only minor problems have been encountered. But with temperatures dropping well below zero, the advice is to prepare for more freezing conditions over the next few days. Philip Norton has this report.
As dawn broke, the sun revealed a covering of snow for much of East Yorkshire. While it wasn't the heavy snowfall that had been forecast, it was still enough to catch motorists out. Widespread sheet ice was blamed for accidents like this one at Bainton near Driffield, and there were scenes like it across the county.
The car in front of me, probably 40-50 yards in front, skidding in front. So I put my brakes on, not stopping at all, put my brakes on again, not stopping at all. I started pumping, and then with one of the pumps, the front end's just gone, and I've gone straight into a truck.
One way of gauging just how badly the area has been affected is by looking at the A1079 here at Arras Hill. It's on some of the highest ground in the county, and it's one of the first major roads to be affected by snow. But all morning, traffic's been flowing freely. No major problems were reported. With more snow falling throughout the day, police appealed for motorists to take extra care and to drive to the conditions.
First fall of snow does tend to catch people out. The roads are treacherous, they're not used to it, and as I say, people need to adapt to the conditions and really just sort of prepare and plan for the journeys.
There was more snow on the coast. This was Hornsea this morning. And in Bridlington, a number of schools said pupils had struggled to get to lessons. Boynton Primary School closed at 11 o'clock after just 8 children reported for class. South of the Humber, there was little in the way of snow, but police were warning motorists to prepare for winter. Special sessions where drivers can have their cars checked were being held in Grimsby.
They don't know where they're going to break down or when they're going to break down. It might be an area that's out in the sticks somewhere. They might not have any kind of mobile phone signal. There could be some hours left somewhere. So always have with you the appropriate clothing and spare equipment that can keep you safe if your vehicle breaks down.
Meanwhile, today saw every school child under 11 across North East Lincolnshire issued with high visibility jackets for the dark winter months.
Children are unpredictable. We have to be aware. As a driver myself, I'm always conscious when there are children around, and at this time of year it is more difficult to see them, so anything that makes that possible, I think, is a good thing.
When I'm walking home from school, it's really dark, and if I've got my jacket on, the cars can see me.
The cars will see you, and also in the fog the cars will see you up close.
With more snow forecast and ice returning to roads tonight, this early Arctic blast looks set to remain for a few days yet.
Well, Philip is in Bainton at the moment in East Yorkshire. That's the area where it has been heaviest affected by the snow. What are conditions like there this evening, Phil?
Well, Peter, in the past hour or so we've seen some particularly heavy snow showers, but I'm pleased to say it doesn't seem to cause too many problems on the roads around here. The main problem at the moment looks to be the problem of ice that's going to return tonight, because of course the snow and ice that melted throughout today is now starting to refreeze, and you can see it glistening on the surfaces, and the same can be said on the paths as well. I was with the crew in Driffield just over an hour or so ago, and the black ice even caught us all out up in Driffield. So the advice is to take extra care even if you're walking in the areas. Now the forecast is for some more snow, which is said to be prolonged and quite heavy possibly, especially along the coast. Now that could cause some more problems for the rush hour tomorrow. Now, I've been speaking to drivers throughout the day. They've been saying that they feel there's not been enough salt put on the roads. We've been checking with the authorities. They're reassuring us that there's plenty of salt in supply. The gritters and the snow ploughs are all out on the roads trying to keep disruption to a minimum. But on the back end of tonight's rush hour now, it seems that most people have got home from work without too many problems.
Bill, thank you very much indeed. And of course, we'll have the full forecast from Paul in a few minutes' time. And if you've been affected by the bad weather, do get in touch. Let's see your photos and videos as well of the snow near you. There's the email address, and we'll have some pictures that have been sent in throughout the day a little bit later on in the programme. And tonight, hundreds of homes and businesses are without power at the moment in Lincolnshire. It's not weather related, but more than 800 properties in the Doddington Road area of Lincoln are still without electricity after a fault with an underground cable. Some homes in Fiskerton, Bardney and Stainfield also lost power because of a separate fault. Central Network say that engineers are working to restore their service as soon as they can. Now, in a moment on tonight's programme, why cutting places for overseas students could cost the local economy millions. A village in Lincolnshire has become the first in the country to get super-fast broadband. Residents at Ashby de la Launde used to find it difficult to access the internet. Now they enjoy some of the fastest connections in the UK with speeds of up to 100 megabits a second. Well, community participation has helped to make the service affordable to people in the village, with many digging their own trenches to cut the cost down. Jake Zuckerman has this report.
Val is adjusting to something many of us take for granted, a usable internet connection, and it's transformed her working life.
The big thing for me yesterday, which would seem very small for other people maybe, is that I've never been able to scan a document and email it to someone, and yesterday I was doing it all day long.
Here in Ashby de la Launde, it used to be impossible to get a decent broadband connection. But now the village has been transformed from a not spot into a hot spot with some of the fastest broadband in England. Villagers here can now access speeds of up to 100 megabits a second, far faster than most city dwellers. They pay £150 to be connected and a subscription fee of £30 a month. Around 90% of households have signed up.
We've got a diverse range from, grandkids to, I think the eldest person in the community is 87 years old, Joyce, who's on the system now. People are moving from dial-up, which is virtually unusable for modern websites, where they can watch BBC iPlayer high definition on the computers there and then.
Digging their own trenches helped villagers keep down costs. The organisation behind the service is registered as a community interest company, which means profits are reinvested locally. Businesses here are already seeing the benefits of a faster connection, like Civil Defence Supplies, which sells high-tech defence equipment and training worldwide.
We have a couple of major international contracts which are happening, so communications through the government and these international customers has been a lot better since we have actually had the internet system up and running.
The plan now is to offer the service to other villages without broadband. At a meeting last night, people in nearby Digby got a taste of what to expect.
Anywhere near the speeds it is promising at the moment is going to be a fantastic improvement, I think.
When it comes, I'll start having video on demand, high definition TV, iPlayer, and then I won't know what I've done without it.
The scheme is already attracting considerable interest from across the country and could be vital in the drive to bring rural areas the benefits of the internet. Jake Zuckerman, BBC Look North, Ashby de la Launde.
A lot of people will be very interested in this one. Joining me is Helen Woolley. She campaigns for better broadband in the rural areas. Helen, good evening to you.
Good evening, Peter.
If a village wants faster broadband, is this what they're going to have to do from now on?
There are certainly lots of examples across the East Midlands where communities have done just what the community at Ashby de la Launde have done. But we, the CLA as an organisation, will be continuing to lobby that broadband really is one of the key services that everybody should have access to.
Is it a luxury or is it a necessity and essential?
It's an absolute necessity. I mean, it's rapidly becoming as essential as electricity and gases. So I think we have to see it now as one of the key infrastructure elements of any rural or of any community, whether that be rural or urban.
OK, they've got it there, but just listening to that report, it's still not cheap, though, is it? You've still got to put your hand in your pocket.
Absolutely, and you know that the example that you've just given, showing a service at £30 a month, is not as competitive as if you were living in an urban area or a more urban area. But those communities now do have access to broadband, and I think that this is a really fabulous example of how communities can come together to resolve some of their own problems. But I think it's important that we don't take the pressure off the government, and we keep the pressure on to make sure that they do make broadband accessible right the way across the country.
And how big a difference does fast broadband make to those who live in very rural villages and isolated areas?
Well, I think it affects everybody that lives in the area, whether it be children. There's evidence that shows that the GCSE achievements of children who have access to broadband is way, way higher than those who don't. So you've got those people who are in their education, that it's an essential part of their ability to do homework, right the way to those people who are running businesses. The government is increasingly delivering a lot of its services online and through the internet. So if you don't have access to a good broadband connection, it is very, very difficult for you in this day and age to be able to run a business competitively. And there's the wider issue of general social inclusion. Just being able to book theatre tickets online, if you live in a remote rural area, things that a lot of people will take for granted are services which you can't take advantage of.
Very interesting to hear you talk to Helen. Thank you very much indeed for that. I'd like to throw this one open. What do you think about this story? If you suffer from slow broadband, you may want to get in touch. How does it affect you? Should more be invested by the government in the rural areas? Maybe you don't have any access at all at the moment. Your broadband stories. If you want to text, it's 81333, 81333. Start the text with the word Look North, or one word. Email address is looknorth@bbc.co.uk. looknorth@bbc.co.uk. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Levy, tweet away. We'll have some before we finish at 7 o'clock. More news now. 43 people are to lose their jobs at a holiday home manufacturer in Hull. Cozort Leisure Homes was placed into administration yesterday. The firm, which is based in the city's Sutton Fields industrial estate, has blamed cash flow problems for its demise. The area's rail commuters are to benefit from part of an £8 billion investment in the national rail network. The East Coast Main Line, which runs through Newark and Grantham, is included in the plans, which will see around 2,000 new carriages on busy routes to ease overcrowding.
Investments on the East Coast Main Line and Midland Main Line, and improvements in Yorkshire, on Transpennine routes, around Manchester and in South Wales will improve line speed, reliability and capacity of services.
Bosses at a Lincolnshire college are warning that plans to cut the number of foreign students could cost our region millions. The government's trying to reduce immigration by stopping people from outside the EU studying here unless they're doing a degree. But colleges argue that international students bring many economic benefits. Joe Makel has this report.
These 4 students are from Turkey, China and the Philippines. They're all doing courses like A-levels, which they hope will help them get places at UK universities. Studying here is important to them.
I quite like England, and I think the educational here is better than China.
I can speak English, but it's in different intonation, or they said it's American way. I can improve more my English.
But the government wants to halve net migration by 2015. The figure's currently more than 200,000. It's already announced a cap for non-EU workers to around 22,000 a year. But the vast majority of people coming to the UK from outside the EU are students. Last year, there were 163,000 of them. And so in the future, only students doing degrees may be given visas.
For colleges across the region, there'll be hundreds of students involved, and it is an important income stream worth probably millions of pounds into those colleges, but also importantly millions of pounds into the local communities, because obviously these students come, they will rent properties, they will buy food and all the other things they need for their life in the UK. But it's also very valuable for UK students in a multinational globalised world to actually come into contact with people from other cultures.
The government says there's a problem with people using student visas to really come here and work, but many colleges like Lincoln say they recruit responsibly and shouldn't be tarred with the same brush. Jo Makel, BBC Look North, Lincoln.
Now, still to come on tonight's programme, the screening programme aiming to save the lives of diabetic patients. And turning back time, the old pictures in video making a new history of our high street. A little bit different tonight because we've got 4 pictures rather than 1 because of the weather. And as I say, if you've got some over the next few days or weeks really, then that you're proud of, send them in to us. Let's have a few tonight then. First of all, this is Hornsey. This was taken by Paul Cook. Paul, thank you for that one. Muriel Hudson took this of Flamborough. That's a stunning picture there. Some clouds in it. No doubt his lordship will tell us what they are in a moment if we're really unlucky. And Brian Godwin took this at Sandilands. Those are the beach huts. A good picture there. And finally, Driffield. This is taken by Benjamin Dunning. Benjamin, thank you very much indeed for those. There's the red phone box. Thank you very much indeed for that. Another set of pictures, or a picture, tomorrow night around about the same time. And Tom writes in, he's 9. He said, "Where is the snow? I have been excited all week. And worst of all, I had to do PE in my shorts today. If it had snowed, it would have been cancelled." You're being blamed for everything now, even PE lessons.
Yes, it's all my fault. And of course, the clouds were cumulus type 1 and cumulonimbus, Peter. As a cloud spotter, you should know that by now.
Yes, try and stay awake, everyone.
You've lost the will to live. Right, the headline for the next 24 hours is very similar to the one we had last night. We've got a warning in force. That means further scattered, and by that we mean some people will get them and others won't. Scattered snow showers. Fairly complicated looking weather pattern. That's Friday, but look at Saturday. We're going to get the winds in from the east, and of course you've all read my blog, and it tells you that the wind's coming all the way from northern Russia, where source temperatures are -23 to -25. Of course, that air gets modulated as it comes across the North Sea, but it gives you an idea of how cold it's going to be this weekend. Now you can see the shower clouds. They continue to move down on that brisk northerly wind, so it's clear spells and scattered sleet and snow showers to come tonight. Of course, widespread ice will be an added hazard, with lowest temperatures in the range at 0 to -3 degrees. -3 is 27 Fahrenheit. The sun rises in the morning at 7:48, setting at 3:49. Your high water time in a very chilly Cleethorpes, 8:25 tomorrow morning. So there will be some bright or sunny spells tomorrow, also a scattering of sleet and snow showers. Just like today, there will be some decent drier, brighter periods in between those showers. But if you catch one of these, it will put a temporary deposit of snow down, and it will be very cold indeed. We're looking at top temperatures around 1 or 2 degrees too. Very cold, even for this time of the year, 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Then over the weekend and into the early part of next week, a strengthening easterly brings a risk of some fairly frequent snow showers from the east. So winter, a long time to come. That's the forecast.
Yeah, Kerry says now Paul's having to do some work with his overtime. Perhaps he could bin the old pink shirt which he likes to wear night after night and buy a new one. Let me down, and you haven't got it on tonight as well.
Buy one, get one free, bog off.
Yeah. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, thousands of diabetic patients in Hull and the East Riding are to be among the first in the world to be screened for undiagnosed heart problems. Scientists from Hull have won more than £400,000 worth of funding from the European Union to lead the scheme. 4,000 patients with type 2 diabetes will be tested to identify their risk of developing cardiac failure. Current research estimates that up to a quarter of middle-aged diabetics could have a heart problem that they're not even aware of. With more, here's our correspondent Vicky Johnson.
Equipment to confirm existing cardiac failure has been around for some time, but a new screening programme will diagnose which diabetic patients have heart problems even before they have any symptoms.
This blood test can detect damage to the heart or blood vessels at an early stage and help us to improve the patient's treatment so that we can delay the serious consequences like the development of heart failure, reduce the risk of heart attacks and stroke.
As project manager of the trial, John Warden obviously has a professional interest, but as a diabetic whose parents both died from heart failure, he's become personally involved with the testing.
I was very anxious to take part in the study myself, and I have been reassured that though I'm diabetic, not as slim as I used to be, my heart is still functioning perfectly well.
It's particularly important that heart problems among diabetics are diagnosed early, because if a patient has heart failure, their chance of dying leaps from 5% a year to 35% if their blood sugar levels exceed a certain limit. Dr. Raghu Raghunath has around 800 diabetic patients on his surgery's books. He believes the simple blood test carried out during routine annual checkups could prove a lifesaver.
This particular study will address this particular area of detecting silent, if you like, or asymptomatic people without any symptoms of heart condition. And by detecting it early, hopefully they can have further tests and further treatment.
While screening's starting here in Hull and East Riding, it's hoped that within a few years this simple blood test could become available to diabetics right across the world. Vicky Johnson, BBC Look North, Castle Hill Hospital.
Thanks very much, Steve, for the emails and texts on last night's story about East Riding Council's leader who says that he will not resign from the party following a row over pension payouts. Now, Stephen Parnaby and 9 other Conservative colleagues in the East Riding have been banned by Tory Central Office from representing the party in next May's elections.
I was elected as a Conservative. Next election's 5th of May. Next year I was elected as a Conservative. That's what I'm doing here today. Leader of the Conservative group, leader of the council.
Stephen Parnaby, yesterday afternoon, well, you've been telling us how you feel about this story. Just a few here. Darren Smith says, I think they should all resign now. How can they keep giving these massive pension payments? It's a disgrace in this climate. But Linda Turnbull called to say Mr Parnaby has been a brilliant council leader for many years and has been rewarded for this by his OBE. It's disgraceful how he is being treated. And finally, John in Bishop Burton texted to say, I think it's about time these people were told not to stand and that we have some younger people running our council who knows what really matters. Thank you very much indeed for all of the messages and the texts and emails. Now, a young Italian footballer is beginning to have a big say in Hull City's fortunes this season. Vito Mannoni has joined the club from Arsenal and he's already caught the eye, as our sports reporter Simon Clark explains.
He's played only 2 games for the Tigers and so far he's unbeaten. The signing of Vito Mannoni slipped under the radar, but the man on loan from Arsenal is already making an impact for the Tigers.
I settled now in Hull. I think I'm in a good club and you know, the 2 games that I played went well, so it's been good for the team.
Vito Mannoni was born in Desio, close to the Monza race circuit in northern Italy 22 years ago. His country has played him 7 times at under-21 level. The team he's always supported are the present Italian league leaders AC Milan. Mannoni has played his part in the Tigers' recent revival, but on Saturday they faced the task of beating another fallen Premier League side, Middlesbrough.
We want to keep the foot on the gas and we have another tough trip, but one we can look forward to if the past couple of results are anything to go by.
The East Riding is quite a different place from the foothills of the Alps, but Mannoni's already found a piece of heaven.
I think Hull got nice things. It's on the sea, so it reminds me as well some part of Italy is, and it's always good to watch the seaside, you know, and have a walk on the seaside. It's not so bad as everybody's saying.
Mannoni's here until January and could have quite a say on the Tigers' future. Simon Clark, BBC Look North, Hull.
Rising tennis star Kyle Edmund from Tickton in East Yorkshire has secured another outstanding win at the World Cup in Mexico. The 15-year-old beat 12th seed Robert Kern of Germany to reach the quarterfinals of the tournament. He'll now face Austria's Denis Novak, who knocked out the competition's top seed. Now, dozens of old videos and pictures from Beverley's past have been uncovered by a special team of historians in the town for 1 week only. It's all part of a campaign by the BBC to find out about the history of our high streets. Simon Spark has been to see how they got on.
These pictures brought in by members of the public all have a common theme: the place where they were taken. And that's why this BBC bus has been in Beverley all week. They want your memories.
Well, it's all to do with the hands-on history project that the BBC are running, of getting people involved in their own history.
and telling their own history in their own words. We're getting photographs from people, we're getting people coming along telling us their history, and it all makes one archive online that anybody can access from anywhere.
As well as meeting members of the public, they've been helping them with tips for filming and getting them involved. People like Peter and Chris.
Well, we are offering ourselves services as cameramen, really. We're members of the East Yorkshire Video Camera Club, and we enjoy making videos, so this seemed like a good opportunity.
It's what you've got to leave out that's the problem, because you could fill a programme lasting 24 hours, really, with History of Beverley.
So you always need to be listening very carefully to what they're saying.
There's also help for filmmakers of the future, like brothers Paul and Stephen. Yesterday they filmed these shots of an old Beverley bus and then got in it to film the modern version of the journey it used to take. One that was also captured on this fantastic piece of film.
My mum used to tell me about the buses, how they were specially formed for the North Bar Arch. And it was nicer being in the bus and riding it than, I guess, you'd see on camera.
I mean, all the different shops and the changes here in the marketplace, it's incredible in my lifetime how it's all changed, and it's still a good market town, a good place to live anyway. I like it.
Unfortunately, this bus journey is coming to an end. There's just one day left of their visit for you to help build up a digital picture of one of East Yorkshire's most historic towns. Simon Spark, BBC Look North, Beverley.
Fabulous pictures of Beverley. Look out for the bus. And by the way, you can take part in this BBC campaign by visiting bbc.co.uk/history/hands-on-history. Now let's have a recap of the main national and regional headlines tonight. The government unveils an £8 billion programme to improve the railways and provide almost 2,000 new extra carriages. There have been several crashes on the area's roads as forecasters warn drivers tonight to expect more snow. The weather for Friday: sleet and snow showers. Further snow showers in the afternoon. Top temperatures a high of just 2 Celsius in a moderate northwesterly wind. And response coming in on the subject of broadband after our report and discussion there. Will says slow broadband isn't just a problem in rural areas. I live in Louth and my broadband service is as slow as dial-up. Some days it is impossible to use. Thank you, Will. Another one here. Wish our village would do this, as we don't get broadband at all. If I need to scan documents, I have to use the Grimsby Town Centre public computers. When will they do Aylesby Village, says Ryan. Just finally here from James. He says it's nice that rural areas are getting a decent internet service. I'm paying £30 a month for a totally inadequate service that is slow and is always cutting off. We'll have more of these. Keep them coming in. Tomorrow lunchtime, join me on the radio if you can. BBC Radio Humberside, BBC Lincolnshire from midday as usual. See you then. Thanks for watching. Take care. Good night.